So Snowbreak Containment Zone has finally launched and I'm super excited about it. I've been playing gacha games for such a long time and it really surprises me that Snowbreak is so unique. I've actually covered Snowbreak not that long ago because I was invited to the previous closed beta test and I even made a video about that. But in today's video, I want to take a closer look at Snowbreak's global launch and I want to give you my first impressions of the game and what I think about it. You can expect to see some gameplay, some characters I will showcase, and some really cool boss fights. But most importantly, I just want to show some cool footage of me gutting down the enemies because I really enjoy the gameplay. And if you're new to Snowbreak, it's a new 3D sci-fi RPG shooter. It combines gunplay, character skills, action elements, and storyline in a futuristic sci-fi setting. And you can play the game cross-platform on PC and mobile, and I'm actually recording my footage right now on PC. And I've been given an early access to the game so I can record my footage in advance, because the developers wanted to support my channel, which I'm really grateful for. And you can download Snowbreak by using my link in the description to help me out. Now, first things first, let me just quickly tell you about the story. Although I'm not really the best storyteller, but as far as I'm aware, the game is basically set in the year 2057, and the world has suffered from a mysterious disaster called the Descent. It basically caused the widespread destruction and contamination of major cities, and it led to the creation of the Containment Zones, hence the name Snowbreak Containment Zone. So you take on the role of the Adjutant, and you join the first human anti-Titan force called the Heimdall Force, and you will be tasked with investigating the truth and protecting the humanity by battling Titans and other factions. And who are the Titans, you ask? Well, these are gigantic bosses you'll get to fight. You literally encounter the first one during a tutorial, but one of the bigger ones you'll encounter will be at the end of the chapter 4, and let me tell you, this boss fight is amazing. It's made up of different stages, and this fight literally sold me on the idea of this game. Now, the core gameplay has actually gone through a lot of big changes compared to the last closed beta test, and one of the most impactful changes has to be the cover system. So previously, if you wanted to avoid the enemy's damage, you had to hide behind these energy barriers, but now they're gone, and instead, you can cover behind almost anything. You literally just need to press a single button and you take cover. And I think this is pretty huge because if you're playing a sniper rifle or an assault rifle character, the cover system is a godsend. You can also vault over objects when you press the dodge button, so quickly vaulting over the object and taking cover really makes the game feel dynamic. Now, another huge change to the game is the base system. Basically, if you played other gacha games, this is the place where you interact with the characters. When you're inside the base, you literally get to control this faceless protagonist, and each character you've collected will show up in this base. So you can run around the place, interact with the characters, and put some furniture around. Now, on the second floor of the base, you will find 8 rooms, and you can let the characters live in here, and then you can visit them as well. Also, it seems like there's 2 floors out of 5, so I'm assuming the game is gonna flesh out the base system in the future. But let's talk about the characters I'm using and what team I'm running. So the game has launched with a total of 18 characters, although some of them have different versions. For example, Fanny here, there's a 4-star version with this cute special costume, and then there's the 5-star version, also called as an orange tier operative. So this Fanny here is an electric unit. Each character has a skill, a support ability, and an ultimate. So a support ability is something that you use when they're off field, and Fanny, for example, when you use her support skill, she increases the rate of fire of everyone on the field for 8 seconds. Although there are these things called neuronics, which is like upgrading the abilities of the characters, and you can upgrade these abilities by just farming the stages. So actually, once the support ability is upgraded, it now instead lasts 10 seconds, which is pretty awesome. But Fanny is basically an electric shotgun damage dealer. So her skill, for example, summons an electrical energy ring and deals electrical damage to enemies, and then you can see this bar over here, and the more times she shoots and deals damage, the faster her rate of fire becomes, and it's pretty funny to see the shotgun shooting so fast. While the ultimate, for example, summons this giant electric field, and it deals damage to surrounding enemies every 2 seconds and interrupts their special skills, which is pretty nifty. The other one I really love using is Frisha, so her skill throws out this chain and binds the target, and then up to 4 surrounding enemies are pulled together. So it's a pretty good combo to use this skill, and then switch to Fanny and use her skill and ultimate. But her ultimate is what really made me want to use her. So she summons this massive cannon, and while you cannot move, you can shoot out this massive laser and just deal a ton of damage to the enemy. And it always feels so good to use this ultimate. And also, because she's an assault rifle user, she's really good at fighting enemies from mid to long range. And speaking of which, you can customize the weapons by equipping different parts on them. So for example, on this assault rifle, I can add a different scope, a magazine, a trinket, and a muzzle. And each different part gives different stat boosts. So it's a pretty cool idea to customize the weapons to the character's build. And also, each character can be equipped with 3 logistics, and logistics are basically like artifacts. So all in all, there's plenty of different customization you can do with your character. Now, you build a team of 3 different characters, and I've only mentioned 2, and that's because the last character is on the featured banner, and I actually haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna summon her because I really like the way she looks. So let me pull on Kaguya's banner really quick, and I'll tell you all about her. Okay, so I finally got her, and after reading her kit, she actually seems really interesting. So her entire kit is based around this thing called Moon Dart. By using her skill, she throws it out, and it deals frost damage and slows the enemies up to 3 times. So it's a pretty cool crowd control ability, while with the support skill, she throws out the Moon Dart. It creates this kind of an area and applies a debuff, which is really important because it reduces the enemy's all-type resistance by 14%. And I don't know about you, but when I hear a character has a resistant shred ability for all type of resistances, well, that just makes me fall in love with the character. And the ultimate, similar to the skill, it will also deal frost damage and slow the enemies, but the difference between the two is that the skill hovers around her, while the ultimate is created in a target area. So overall, a character that slows the enemies and shreds their resistances is pretty awesome to me. Also, I forgot to mention, but she's a pistol user. Obviously, pistols don't have a lot of bullets, but the damage is pretty good. So now my team is made up of a shotgun user, an assault rifle, and a pistol user. Now, one big thing I want to mention is that once you complete the 5th chapter, you can actually unlock one of the orange tier characters for completely free. In fact, Fenny and Frisia are both on this selector. And so when I completed the 5th chapter, I actually picked Fenny from this selector. Now, as I said before, this game really shines when you fight the bosses. One of the cool elements included in the game is bullet hell. So for example, fighting against this Cerberus boss, the fight feels really intense because not only does this boss have different attack patterns, but some of the attacks have bullet hell, so you need to dodge and move around the bullets. And there's also this mode called Neural Simulation. Each week there's a different rotation of bosses. So for example, as of recording this footage, the 2 current bosses is this big tank and this weird looking mage guy. If you're the type of person who loves to learn all of the different patterns from bosses, this mode is gonna be awesome for you because you can push for a high score. But of course, with higher high score, you get more rewards, and you can even go into a special shop and redeem these manifestations of characters, which are like constellations. So literally by just playing this mode, you can power up your characters. But yeah, so far I've been having a blast with Snowbreak. The game has plenty of different modes. Obviously you have the story mode, which you can beat on normal and hard difficulty. Then there's the operation stages where you grind for the materials. In personal file, you go through different characters' sub-stories, and by completing them you get manifestations, which means you improve the character. The dispatch mode, I mentioned there's neural simulation, but there's also a mode called Underground Purge. You go through different stages and beat the enemies. There's actually quite a few surprises when you're clearing the stages, so it's pretty fun. And then there's Tactic Evaluation. It kind of has some platforming elements, so you can jump around and mess around with the enemies. And one funny thing here, if you're using Fenny 4-star version, her skill knocks away the enemies. And this place is perfect for using this skill because the enemies are just thrown out of the stage and they just die immediately. But probably my most favorite mode is Giggling. This is a co-op mode where you can team up with your friends or other players, and you go through a roguelike dungeon, which means you can pick up different upgrades and face the enemies together with your friends. Overall, I think Snowbreak is a really unique game because the gacha gaming market is pretty saturated with action RPGs and turn-based RPGs, but a third-person shooter, that's pretty new to me. And yeah, I really recommend checking out Snowbreak. You can use my link in the description. And right now, there's a lot of benefits going on with the open beta. First of all, you're gonna be able to claim up to 60 echoes. And echoes are summons, so you're getting 610 multiples here. There's also a 7-day mission, and by completing it, you get an Olympus sniper rifle, which is an orange tier weapon. And then there's 14-day login rewards. After 7 days, you get Yao, a 4-star character, and on day 14, you unlock her really cool costume. And as I said before, there's an orange tier character selector. All you have to do is just beat the 5th chapter of the game. And of course, there's the pre-registration rewards you can claim, which contains Life's costume, and I think it looks really good on her. I actually preferred it more than her original costume. So yeah, make sure to check out Snowbreak, use my link in the description to download it, and you will also help my channel, which is a win-win for both of us. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and see you next time.